Welcome to Around the Weird. Here's your host, the museum curator of the strange and unusual, Mr. Nothing.
Thank you, mysterious voice, and welcome back to Around the Weird, a booktube channel where I talk about all the unusual and out of the ordinary literature that I have found in my travels. Today it is Poetry Thursday, so I wanted to talk about some poetry that has intrigued me as of late. And today's poem is all about the approaching satyrs, the creatures from Greek myth, I do believe. And this poem is Hoofs by Winifred Waldron. For those who don't know, Winifred Waldron is an American poet, and that's pretty much all I know about them. Winifred Waldron got published in Poetry Magazine in June of 1918 in the midst of the First World War. And I haven't been able to find any other information about Winifred at that point. I've looked on Google, I've checked poetry, the Poetry Foundation where I usually find my poetry, but I haven't been able to find anything about this poet. What's funny is I was looking for information about another poet, and I stumbled across this poem, and I was like, wow, this is a very interesting poem. I would love to read it, but I couldn't find any other information about them. I wonder if that's because this is the only poem that Winifred ever got published. Perhaps it's the case that Winifred's work wasn't culturally or critically beloved, so it just fell out of the zeitgeist. That's also possible. Or it could be for any number of other reasons. But I just haven't been able to find any additional information about Winifred. But I guess that this is what this channel is all about, talking about, books and, in this case, poetry from authors who might not normally get covered. And I think Winifred is a very clear example of someone who might have been forgotten had it not been for their very unusual poetry attracting my eye. So very much eager to talk about this poem today. And without further ado, I will do that. I will read it, do a little bit of analysis, and we will move on from there. Hoofs. Beware, beware, hark to the beat, the trampling beat of the satyrs' feet, galloping feet, hark to the sound, the maddening sound. They stamp the ground, they gash the ground, the long grass tickles their legs, their heels. They come in clattering swoops and reels. Beware, beware. Beware their hoofs, their pounding hoofs. They hail on roofs, on rickety roofs. They scatter the flowers, the fields of flowers, in peddling showers, yellow-red showers. With crashing hammer and thud and pound, the satyrs leap in a whirling bound. Beware, beware, their hoofs will shatter your garden walk, their pound will smother your cautious talk. They'll batter your red geranium pot, they'll gut your cabbage and onion pot. Hark from the hill, the forest hill, where trees are still. Hark to the beat, the laughter beat, the echoing beat of hammering feet. In the after heat of a clattering run through miles of sun. Beware, beware. And so that was Hoofs. In terms of analysis, there's a fair bit worth talking about with this poem. In terms of narrative, there isn't really a strict narrative in the poem. An unseen narrator is warning about the coming of the satyrs, the Greek sort of mythological creature, trouncing around and stamping on the ground and running around and causing danger, potentially running you over, but also running over your garden, running over everything in sight, and potentially ruining your house, your home, your garden, whatever you want to call it. It's a word of caution. It's a poem of caution there. So pretty simple narrative. But where the poem really shines is through the use of repetition. Each verse is preceded by two words, beware, beware, and exclamation marks. And it's like on the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, beware, beware. So there's structure to this poem as well. And then you also have rhyme, but also repetition in that rhyme. So it says, hark to the beat, the trampling beat of the satyrs' feet, galloping feet. Hark to the sound, the maddening sound. They stamp the ground, they gash the ground. The long grass tickles their legs, their heels. They come in clattering swoops and reels. And so for most of the poem, and this follows each verse, you have hark to the beat, rhyme A, the trampling beat, rhyme A on the same line, and then of the satyrs' feet, galloping feet, rhyme A, rhyme A. And then hark to the sound, the maddening sound, so rhyme B, followed by in the next line rhyme B. And so you get repetition there, and you also get rhyme. So the rhyme feels a little bit fanciful, especially very flowing when you read it out loud. But it also sounds, again, it adds to that word of caution. You're repeating some things. Like, these satyrs are coming, we have to do something. We have to get out of their way before they trounce and pounce and run all over us. But given the nature of this poem, like, as you read it, like, it doesn't really sound like you can do anything about these satyrs. They're coming, they're going to run around, they're going to do whatever they may, and there's really nothing you can do about it. You see that a little bit throughout the poem, but near the end it says, where trees are still, hark to the beat, the laughter beat, the echoing beat of hammering feet, and the after heat of a clattering run through miles of sun. Like, these satyrs have been running for miles and miles, but they liken the sound of the satyrs running to a beat. A laughter beat and an echoing beat. So it sounds like laughter, but it's also echoing. So this is a very sort of noisy forest going on, where the satyrs are running around. They're possibly coming out of the forest, but it sounds very noisy, and it could sound very intimidating too. So I like the use of rhyming, the use of repetition in this poem. And I like this sort of urgency that Winifred fills this poem with, because it even though I know satyrs aren't real, I feel like, oh no, I better get out of their way in order to survive, or in order to not get run over by them at all, or get injured by them. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Hoofs by Winifred Waldron, a poet that this is my first time encountering, and I will probably never find any of their other writing, but I am glad that I found this bit of writing right here. I definitely recommend it to you out there to read. It's a lot of fun to read, and it might be pretty similar to some other unconventional style poems that you might see out there. So I'm going to link to it in the description. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I would love to hear from you and have a discussion. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so that more people can find out about this poem, or this poet, or Poetry Thursday if they do not already know. And until then, I wish you the best of luck in your weird and satyr-like travels. Farewell.